Welcome back. It's Friday, being Guillén live on La Vida Baseball. I gotta check my notes. Happy September 11th, a day that it's remembered for tragedy, but I remember it for strength, hope, and knowing that you never give up. So welcome, Oni Ozzy Sr., and you're wearing your pajamas. At least you're wearing the foundation shirt.
You can't see his pants.
Yes, you can see now.
Yes.
Would you do this? Would you do your NBC in your pajamas if you could?
Hell yeah! They asked me, yes, why not? I think that's a good thing about it. I think that people start knowing who you really are, and I don't mind.
Do you know what's funny? The other day,
I went to Target.
Yeah,
I go everywhere.
We've seen it and doing it for the gram. So the other day, though, on Twitter, I wanted to erase a message because I said this one would really upset him. What do you think the message was about?
Which one?
I think the only thing they're gonna upset you critiquing wise. The guy said, "What suit is Ozzy Guillén wearing? Who's dressing him?"
Oh yeah.
And I said, "I gotta delete this. If this guy sees this is gonna ruin his day."
Oh yeah, no.
Make fun of his English all you want. Do not
make fun of Ozzy's suit game. But 19 years ago, Ozzy and I were in high school. That's a long time.
I was in a free period.
I was a sophomore in high school, and I remember like it was yesterday. I called my parents. Obviously, the first people you think of is the people that you love. I called my parents to say, turn on the TV. My dad was coaching at that time for the Montreal Expos.
Yes.
They were playing in Miami, just out of luck.
Out of luck.
They were playing in Miami.
We fly in from New York.
Yeah, they were coming in from New York, obviously during the middle of a baseball season, towards the end of the season. It's something that we'll never forget. I just remember people coming together, showing a lot of patriotism. And then, obviously, I remember the thing I remember the most is President Bush throwing out the best first pitch I've ever seen under those circumstances. And it's just a good reminder for, especially through times that we're going through now, it's a good reminder that, we're all one and we should be in this together. And don't forget about everything that we've gone through. And hopefully, obviously today is a day that we're all together, but it should be always.
Right.
So,
It's something nobody going to forget about. You can forget about anything and people will remember where you was when that happened. And to do that means it's a very important day for America, for the United States. I think everybody lose their life there, families. We have to thank God. Every day we wake up to be next to our kids, next to your grandkids, next to the people who love you, and forget about so much crying about the bad circumstance happening in the country and around the world, because this world, this place can, you never know. People die there with no reason at all, dying there, leave their family alone. Very tough situation, and people have to learn from that. Don't forget about it, and open them, be more friendly, be more, united.
united.
Be more united.
Empathy.
Between each other. Yeah, because people, we can't forget that easy, man. We can't forget it. We might fight against people out of our country, but we're fighting against our brothers.
Well, the focus has changed. So I want to talk about the importance of sports. For me, it was a big moment because I'm of high school age, meaning perfect for if there would have been a time of war, and it would have been 30 years before, I would have been shipped overseas, and I would have been very proud to do that. But it was like a reality. My generation at the time had never had a war. We didn't have World War II. We didn't have World War I, Vietnam. So to us, it was just stuff we read in the books. Then that day, everything changes, and your life is literally, it could have changed. Decisions could have been made that, thank God there was no draft, meaning for that time, because my life would have changed. So for the men that served, I think that's why I'm so thankful for them, because my life would have changed. It would have been a different time had they not volunteered their life to go serve and do what they had to do. And then for the police officers and the firefighters, my favorite line is, when everybody was running away from the buildings, we were going to the buildings. And today I read the last words of one of the flight attendants that was on the plane. That was it was a flight attendant or somebody was on the flight. The guys that attacked the hijackers. What he was telling his wife on the phone, saying, "We're going to do something about it. Basically, we're going to take the plane. We're going to try to take the guys down." So just reading those things, it makes you, then baseball, baseball at the time was the only sport that was actually playing. So how we rallied around as Americans for that one perfect first pitch. I remember that at the time George W. Bush was not very well viewed, and he basically took it aside and basically showed up, and sports was like, this is our way of life. And the first pitch, Sammy Sosa running out to right field with the flag. One of the only reasons I dislike Cub fans is because Sammy, just because of that, he needs to be glorified. But so baseball was like there, and it was our way of life, and it was us versus you. And it was just something that I think it was just a great moment in sports.
And that, to tie it all in, that's the reason that we wanted sports back in the first place with the COVID, because sports, not only in this country, but all over the world, it brings people together. It gives you a sense of normalcy. Look, I even got a football in my hands because the NFL is back. I know people that love football are very excited because sports, and that's the reason you guys are watching the show. We're all fans of the game, whether that be soccer, baseball, football, whatever. But not like it did in 9/11. Sports brings us back to normalcy, and hopefully we get fans in the stands.
It's our way of life. I think sports is something that in our culture it's ingrained. And I think even for the people that are not obsessed with sports, like my wife, sports is something that is always there. Now Sunday get-togethers are going to happen, with the new COVID rules, limited to where you're going to go. So sports are always there. The first topic goes into that.
Yeah, but what do you like about sports? That it's real people like us. It's not scripted.
Oh, no.
It's not a movie. This is real life stuff. These are actually people that obviously they're very, very talented, but they play games that we all played as kids growing up. They obviously take it to another level, but anything can happen. And every day it's like, we don't know what's going to happen, because that's why we love sports. Well, it gives people a reason to root for the same thing. It doesn't matter what color you are. You could be a Bulls fan. You could be a Sox fan. You could be white, black, Asian.
Everybody. The king, the president of the United States, or
exactly.
Now they're calling us brown.
Yeah. There's only one Browns team in this city, and they're playing on Sunday.
No, but I'm saying it's one of the only things that someone that's like the president and someone that's
right.
You can
an average Joe.
They might show the game there. It's like the average Joe,
but you connect,
and that's happening right now with the playoffs. The first topic of the day is MLB playoffs. First team came out and saying we're not doing the bubble.
The Dodgers. They say they're against it.
Well, they're against it, meaning the bubble means that they wanted to go to one place and everybody be quarantined and play there because of the risk of a team getting sick. Mind you, there's been like 15 days with no positive tests in Major League Baseball from the COVID. But do you think that the Dodgers have a point? Again, they're the teams that have the most to lose. They're the favorites going in.
Well, obviously I picked them before. They're obviously rolling right now. They have a winning percentage of like 750. I talked about it with my dad this morning. I see both sides. I just see how good the NFL is going with the bubble and how they can control everything. They don't want to risk somebody going down during the playoffs and they have to stop play for a couple of days.
Yeah.
So they're thinking about possibly going somewhere, locking everybody in for the playoffs, whether that be two neutral sites, American League, National League, and playing it out there. Because there is really no home field advantage because there's no fans.
Most fans.
But teams do want to play in their home stadium, and they're going to have to travel to another place.
I understand that.
As a manager, my question is, as a manager for you, before you get into that point, as a manager for you, would you like the bubble?
It's going to be good for the ball club. It's going to be good for baseball. It's going to be good for the fans. It's going to be good for everyone. You have to. I'm not in Major League Baseball say, okay, we're going to do this just because they want to. Everybody want to play with fans. Everyone want to.
Well, no fans. But you're not going to see. You're not going to see. The thing is that they're saying is that you're not going to see your family for about 3-4 weeks.
Okay.
You know what?
Retire from baseball and have
I think the Dodgers. I think now with the game of analytics, the numbers change, and that's something people don't realize. If you've been playing in your home field for this many games, the way that you play defense, all that's all out the window.
There's a comfort level.
Exactly.
It's a normalcy. You go home, you see your wife, you see your kid. You go to the stadium, you play the games. It's your dugout, it's your locker, it's the people that you know. Even if you were to travel, if they were to put these guys in a bubble, players. Players are creatures of habit. They don't like being taken out of their comfort zone. Do I think there's going to be a bubble? I don't. I think MLB is going to just let the playoffs play out like they're doing now. Because you know what I do agree with? Fans are going to watch the game regardless, but I think stadiums in the cities, I think if the Sox are in the playoffs, or they will be in the playoffs, and the Cubs are in the playoffs, this city will be electric. Maybe not in the field, but around the parks and all the bars. And those businesses need this money because they've gone through a tough time. So I think all MLB teams are going to stay in their city because I think every city, like the White Sox, you don't think White Sox fans want to go to the bar?
Hey, White Sox come. Let's do a tailgate party.
Exactly. Like people want to go.
COVID rules, but we'll have a tailgate
exactly.
party.
People want to go to their local bar. They want to get wasted. They want to drink. Maybe if it's only 3 games, there's been some teams that haven't been there a long time. The Marlins are knocking on the door. The Orioles are knocking on the door. These teams are like, wow, if we can get in, it'd be cool to celebrate in your city. So I think they're gonna stay.
I hope they do that, and I hope, man, it's too bad the Corona don't go out because it will be sad. Different the White Sox and the Cubs.
That sucks.
By the way, if there's no Corona, I don't see the White Sox getting in. I don't see the Marlins getting in.
Oh no, because it's a long season.
Right now, the Orioles are fighting with the Yankees.
So
if you
think about that,
if you know baseball, that shows you
what the season
is like.
And it actually puts more emphasis on teams that have won before for the 162. Winning a division title is very hard. Very hard.
Well, everyone now cares about the 4th pitcher and the 5th pitcher. Like, they have to be aces. It's like, guys, in a 162-game season, if that guy's 500.
And I want to give a shout-out to somebody that's watching us, a good friend of the family, Perry Hill Bone. How are you, buddy?
How you doing?
Best infield instructor in
you know why he's the best infield instructor?
I can say that is a fact.
Perry Hill.
I think I was one of the best fielders in my era.
You could just catch it.
But I learned how to teach. Kind of learned how to teach when I see this man teach. And it was kind of weird because I thought the way I was telling people how to do it was my way. But the reality was how this man teach. I don't see anybody in Major League Baseball teach fielding like Bone.
By the way, when people ask me about a coach and like someone that like I saw change, my hitting, I've worked with a lot of people. My hitting never really improved. My defense, even now at 36 years old, 35, at 36, just doing the things that he taught me from high school level to college, the player that I became defensively, even at my age in the men's league, I'm like, that's.
And before we get into the next topic, Bone, your strategies, these are things that are being taught all over the Illinois suburbs.
Oh, yeah.
Vermont, I coach in high school. Anybody.
I see Omar Vizquel teaching. Omar Vizquel.
And you're like, nope, Bones is better.
Omar, you're wrong. Omar, you're wrong. I see guys teaching. I go, what?
Oh, it's just hard.
Really? That's what I say.
Because I think he made it simple. Like, if you're teaching, it's like now when people are talking about, we're going to get into the next topic, which is an important one. We're now obsessed with, like, I see people on TV put videos of, like, Mike Trout hitting and judge. It's like, well, yeah, he's 6'5", like 300 pounds. Mike Trout, when you look at him, he might be one of the greatest players of all time when it's all said and done. You're showing me those videos, like the gap level of where they're at, just God-given talent. I think when you're a coach, I think it's guys that make someone better without God-given talent. Meaning Juan Pierre, very limited skills, big leagues. Like, your God-given talent to catch the ball is amazing. So I think, like, if you're competing for like a college, high school level, to be able to get you to like a place of competitiveness, I think that's a coach's biggest job. And it happens here with the guy we're going to talk about next, because we basically argue all the time.
Don't teach your kids launch angle.
She gone, not good. The next one we're going to talk about, it's a big day. It's not controversial. It's just something that it's a topic across the league about if his number should be retired. But I didn't have a chance to watch him playing live. I've only seen video. And we always argue who the greatest Puerto Rican player of all time is. And I just want to say this.
I got my jersey
straight out. With all the respect to Mr. Ivan Rodriguez, who I love, and he's in my top 5 players of all time, my list as my favorite players. Roberto Alomar, any other person born in Puerto Rico, maybe Latin America. Okay, I'm even going to go that far. Maybe Latin America. We did a deep analysis of Roberto Clemente's numbers.
You proved me wrong, bro.
I proved you wrong. We did it. We did his analysis of his numbers, and this guy, had he not even done one charity work in his life,
bad man,
he could have been the worst human being possible. Okay, and he would have been, numbers wise, he was doing things with his talent in the baseball at a time where if you would have played in the age of Instagram, social media, just analytics, his numbers were just ridiculous. And on his day, number 21, I know why Jackie Robinson, people wear Jackie's number. When you have the Roberto Clemente story, you can wear it for a lot of different reasons.
Did you know that Jackie and Roberto were in the same franchise at one point?
Yeah, Brooklyn Dodgers.
And it was a Rule 5 draft.
Yeah.
That the Pirates took Roberto in the Rule 5 draft. Obviously, Roberto was in the minor leagues, but no other leagues. Listen, Roberto Clemente, unbelievable talent. My second name is named after him. I've said it last week's show. Huge impact on baseball. And the more as the years goes on, he is our Jackie Robinson. Should his number get retired? I hope it happens.
It doesn't have to.
I don't think it will, and I don't think it should. I saw your show a week ago, and I like the fact that why not make everyone wear 21 for that day and make a Roberto Clemente day and not retire it? Because I love the fact that when a number gets retired, but it's like on the shelf. Nobody wears it. I would love to see young Latino kids or any kids go to the ballpark and they're like, Dad, why is everyone wearing 21? You're like, son, Roberto Clemente used to play for the Pirates, and he was a philanthropist. He did a bunch of stuff off the field. He helped a bunch of kids. He'd help people in Puerto Rico for free. And then a kid being like, you know what? I'm going to wear 21. Because who wears 21 right now?
No one. It's one thing about it. I know Roberto Clemente's life. Wow. Mrs. Better, rest in peace.
Manny Colon, send me some pants and some balls.
And by the way, because Roberto Clemente lived in this moment, he'd be the best vocal Latino player ever. If you read,
he'd be at the forefront.
What Roberto Clemente said in that time when the black community was
it was a civil rights movement.
Nasty.
Yeah,
Roberto Clemente was nasty.
Well, he would say
Roberto Clemente was worse than me.
No, but I think that he took out. People don't realize this, okay? Especially now, we keep now tabs on everybody, and this goes to the LeBron James factor. You can't be quiet forever. That's why I respect Michael Jordan. He was quiet his whole career. Then afterwards, he talked. I respect that. He had a standpoint. LeBron not interested. Now he's all of a sudden interested. Roberto Clemente from day one.
Oh my God!
From day one, and kind of like a Team Anderson, like the way that he is. You can dislike it or like, but you knew where he stood from. His powerful words, I am a black Puerto Rican. Like, you can read between the lines. We're always going to be foreigners to these people here.
Yes.
About him saying, why don't we have Latino managers? In the 1960s.
I saw him it was in the middle of the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King, Muhammad Ali, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like, Roberto Clemente was very, very vocal. He got lost in the shuffle. And, I mean, I've seen interviews of him and the reporters saying, Bob, how do you play?
Even him,
he's like,
Ozzy.
He goes, exactly.
His name's Ozzy.
But there's some guys that are like, that's not my name. Roberto back then was like, my name's not Bob.
Yeah.
My name is Roberto Clemente, and he says hi to his dad.
Well, I think they would have given him a better name. Ozzy's just so cool to say no. It sounds better than Oswaldo. But I'm saying,
honestly, his name, my dad's name is not Ozzy.
And it's Oswaldo.
It's Oswaldo, but they never called him here like, now batting Oswaldo.
Some marketing guy said
no, because there was Ozzie Smith was already in the National League. Like, we're gonna have our version of him.
Minnie Minoso. His name's not Minnie.
Exactly, Minnie Minoso. Think about that. They named Minnie Minoso. Minnie because
they wanted to make him smaller,
and because of a Disney character, and they wanted to make him more appealing to people. His name obviously is a little awkward.
He got like 35 names.
Exactly.
Jose, Jesus, Maria.
But it's still though. But that culture
nowadays
you can't do that.
Carlos Sanchez. They called him in the minor leagues Carlos because Yomer was too weird. And he got older. He's like, you know what? My name is Yomer.
Yeah.
Mike Stanton. Same thing.
Yeah. Giancarlo was too awkward to say.
But when he was growing up in school, they're like, oh, your name's Mike.
Your name's Mike. But I think that Roberto, his legacy does not. We can't die on that.
I think
hill.
let's do it every year.
I don't think you die on that hill. I think that day you make it Roberto Clemente Day across the league. Everybody talks about it. The other part is this. She gets lost in the shuffle. She's no longer with us. And I think the boys have the grandkids, and the family has a big, big, big burden to carry. And we're here to help them carry that burden. I don't think Roberto Clemente is Roberto Clemente without Vera Clemente.
Never.
Why? Vera Clemente was a young woman when her husband passed away. Yet she kept her private life private, stayed always as Roberto's wife, that image. She made that foundation. She kept it alive.
And one of the biggest awards, if not the biggest award other than the MVP and Cy Young's, is the Roberto Clemente. He has an award, which is probably the most important award in baseball if you really look at it outside the game. It's the most important award that his name will forever be linked to greatness and doing great things, helping people. And his wife, because Roberto's been gone, obviously he died in 1972, his wife carried that legacy, and now it's his kids' turn. And after his kids' turn, they've also done a great job, it's his kids' turns, Roberto's grandkids. So his legacy is never, ever going to die.
But his wife, though, made that legacy. She could have been, because it's happened before. Roberto could have passed away. First guy inducted into the Hall of Fame before the
exactly. Manny Colon. Your name is not Manny. Your name is Emmanuel or something.
So she could have. I'm saying no, but she could have. Literally said, "I want to go into a private life. I don't want people to bother us because it's too painful to be around baseball. It's too painful to remember Roberto's image." And he would have been a great player, but he wouldn't be this symbol,
right?
Of when you're a baseball player, okay. The fact of philanthropy. Now talking about philanthropy, like giving back. I'm saying, by the way, you give back because this is our foundation. Ozzie Guillén Foundation gets started in Venezuela because why? Because Roberto Clemente, because Carlos Baerga and all the Puerto Rican players had foundations because of Roberto. It was something they did. In Venezuela, nobody did. It was the first one. No professional baseball had a foundation, and players. And people in Roberto Clemente camp said, Ozzie, you always come to Puerto Rico.
Let us go to you.
What can we do for Venezuela?
Yeah.
And all the Puerto Ricans would come support, and that foundation gets started in Venezuela. Obviously, you guys can Google the situation in Venezuela. That foundation now still does things in Venezuela, but now it's here in Chicago. It does local things. So from somebody that I've never met, who my brother's named after,
that's impact.
From Puerto Rico,
is
impacted. I like the Pirates because of Roberto Clemente, like those colors, and I think that's what.
And a cool tidbit: my dad's All-Star game was in 2006 that he got to manage in Pittsburgh,
which was ironic.
And his first away game in interleague play was in Three Rivers Stadium.
So that was a big deal.
Very cool stuff.
Even in the All-Star game, and Troy from La Luquena, much love, brought it up of having Joey, my dad, who are obsessed with Roberto Clemente, being in the first All-Star game managed by a Latino manager in his home field. If you know the history on how he stayed so positive, and he wanted to therefore be the Latino manager. He pushed so hard for Ozzie Virgil. He was so vocal. I think that the sad part of him being taken so young is because I think that even after retirement, he would have been that voice.
Yes.
And again, his legacy does it, but he would have been a guy that would have been in the forefront. Maybe make things quicker and happen faster. But I don't think that you need his number retired. If they do it, awesome. If they don't,
let's honor it every year.
If it's not retired, honor it every year. But if it's not, though, it's literally one of those.
I'm glad that with social media and Twitter and Instagram, kids now know about Roberto Clemente.
People, Venezuela, Dominican, Panama, all those Latin America, Colombia, Nicaragua, they know who is Roberto Clemente. They shouldn't. Who care about Roberto Clemente in other countries? Roberto Clemente was so big. Those names, my grandparents, my parents, told me who was Roberto Clemente. I told you guys who Roberto Clemente was. It's just because you're not Puerto Rican, people know who's Roberto Clemente. And that's only in Venezuela, we're not a pair of blue jeans. The soon you're not in the in baseball, you're done. You're done. Same way in Puerto Rico, same way in Dominican. When you're done playing baseball, guys, and when you're done being a superstar, you out of your country. You're done. When they see you, they go, "Oh my God, mira, look who's here." It's a fact. Okay? Roberto Clemente ain't happening. It ain't happening any country. And that's why this guy.
But you know why Roberto Clemente is big, and I knew that?
Because he had a 94 WAR.
Well, 94 WAR. Google it yourself. 94 WAR is ridiculous. The guy was doing amazing things on the field that nobody else I've been able to see. That WAR is just ridiculous.
The most outfield assists.
Most outfield assists, like 12 Gold Gloves. Look at the numbers. But when you're a little kid, okay, and this was a library time, and we would go to the library and we would check books out. All the books were on Caucasian players, Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, amazing. They were all baseball. It was cool. And you had the Black Book, which was the Jackie Robinson, also cool.
The only one you read.
The only one you read. But the only book that you had at that time, the only book for kids now it's changed, was this guy named Roberto Clemente. There was a book about his story, about who he was. And again, when you make it for a movie, it's like he did all these amazing things and then he dies at 3,000.
I'm a little shocked that Hollywood. I'm a little shocked that Hollywood hasn't adopted.
No, they want to.
I think they will.
They want to. They want to. 5 years ago, they talked to me.
Chadwick Boseman, the guy that played Jackie Robinson, obviously R.I.P. made great movies, made Black Panther. Hopefully,
but I'm saying, like, for the Roberto Clemente story, though, like, so much, like, when you do a storyline, again, like we talk about life and stuff. It's not
he passes away after he hits his 2008 story.
Like, his story before becoming a big leaguer, like, that goes to, like, the military, like, so much there.
Yeah, he served,
plays in Puerto Rico. You know, actually, we're at the stadium where he played this year in the Caribbean Series. You see his number where he started his career. Then, like, he goes in, like, and then he passes away right at 3,000 hits. The first hit is considered an infielder's choice. He's mad. He doesn't want it.
I gotta get
a real hit. Ends right. Ends right at 3,000.
But also won 2 World Series. MVP of 1.
If you guys ever listen to the long play, it was a long play when Philip Ramirez and I think it was Bocanero. I don't remember. They got the 3,000 hits.
Yeah, they basically 3,000 hit of when he gets it. You guys can Google that as well. But so the next topic is going to be one of the guys that in this era is love him or hate him.
Me?
No, love him or hate him. And this year he's actually pitching really well. The guy gets it. He wants to get 100,000 followers now on his YouTube channel. That's going to give him money. But he was chirping back at the dugout. So it brings up the topic of chirping. Trevor Bauer, so having a great year. His team, the Reds, are in the fight. The Cubs chirping. And he talked about it in the press conference. They chirp all the time, but they never do anything about it.
I didn't know Trevor. I knew who Trevor Bauer was. This year he got more relevant because of his Twitter. But he decided, you know what? I've been talking a lot of crap.
I'm taking it
to the next level. And guess what? He did. He also knows. He always had a good arm. He also knows that this is a free agent year. He's got to be a free agent next season. So someone's going to give him a lot of money.
I think he's AJ Pierzynski, meaning if he lands with a guy like Ozzy, a guy that he likes. But I'm saying, like, when AJ landed with Ozzy, if Trevor lands on the right team with the right management that knows how to handle him, this guy is a very high ceiling. If he lands on the wrong team, it could be a disaster.
And I love what he did. I love that the Cubs were chirping at him because they obviously don't like him. Like, hey, you beat us, but we're still going to chirp at you.
So he's on their team.
Exactly. And I love that Trevor Bauer said, you can chirp all you want. I just shoved it up your butt for 8 innings, 7 2/3 innings. I love that. What is wrong with that? People are competing. Yeah. Trevor's annoying on social media. The Cubs wanted to beat him. They didn't. They left her on the field. No one said anything after the game. The Cubs let it go. They will face them again.
They will get shut out again.
Exactly. Down the road, they'll face him. White Sox are one of the favorites to maybe land him if they get him because a lot of teams are going to try to get him. I love that he talked.
I like it because it was on the field chirping. It was competitive chirping. Trevor didn't throw at anybody or the Cubs. It was like, you chirp. Hey, you chirp all you want. You're not getting under my skin.
You know what's funny?
That's when a pitcher
gets you more.
But I'm saying that's when a player gets more dangerous. There's 2 types of players. There's players that hear the boos and the chirping and they grow and they say, I'm going to get you. I saw with guys like AJ Pierzynski that they would just – it was electrifying.
Yeah, and then you get like Javier Vasquez.
Or then there's guys that they hear the boos, they hear the chirping, and teams know that. They get under your skin. And there's been Hall of Famers, guys that have played that I've seen on the field. When they talk to them, it gets under their skin. They start blaming other guys. Oh, this guy made an error, and they don't do well. So I think that Trevor is taking. I think this year, if there's any story for the 2020 shortened season, is players that have taken it to the next level. Tatis, Bauer, Giolito, Robert didn't really have a level. He just came out straight up like that. But like even guys like Nelson Cruz, I think this is going to be his year to win the MVP. I think he might be the first player to ever win MVP in the Roberto Clemente Award. I also think he will decide the division between him and Abreu. Who wins the MVP is whoever does better gets that division. But I think it's been a year of players doing growth. Beaver with Cleveland. But I love the chirping as long as it stays neutral. And I love it. I think people are like criticizing him for having a shirt that says, I want to get 200,000 followers. Why not? It's his
promoting his brand.
Promoting his brand.
I'm okay with it.
I'm saying, no, I'm okay with promoting your brand, just like I'm okay with Black Lives Matters T-shirt. That's what you stand for. Do it. Ozzy used to wear NYPD, wherever town he was in. He wore the hat for the police officers. He did it in Chicago. He did it for the firefighters. Nowadays, people might take it as negative.
Like me, I wear Madrid and Ronaldo shirts because I support my team.
Well, Madrid and Ronaldo 100. Well, they should be separated, but Ronaldo got 100 goals.
Which is our next topic.
Which is our next topic because we have to have it because Oni.
Who's that guy?
100 goals in international. But again,
wait a minute. Then we got to talk about my friend.
Who?
Castella.
Oh,
right?
Time out. When we talk, when in that sport there is gambling, we will talk about it.
Yeah, obviously, you guys. No secret to you guys. Before we leave, I'm a huge soccer fan, and we're all big Madrid fans. We watch all the games. Ronaldo did score. We keep track of everything that's going on in Europe with Messi and everything. You guys can't pan around the office. We're Ronaldo fans. We're not Team Messi, so I think even when I have my first kid, if it's a boy, I'm gonna name him Cristiano.
Yeah,
not Ozzy. It'll be Cristiano Jose though.
You go from
good CJ
Joseph.
But before wrapping up, though, the season is getting hot and heavy. Again, September 11th, a day that we don't forget. Keep enjoying it. I think that as far as we're going, there was times that I had doubts if this season was going to even finish. I think that if you have to ask me today, I think it's going to go all the way through. I think that even though we hate on Major League Baseball a lot, they've done a great job of maintaining the season and just perseverance and finding ways.
And shout out to all the teams not complaining about playing doubleheaders.
They have
it. They know that this is not normal. They have to do it.
I think my respect for the players, my respect for the managers, my respect for the GMs, because they went through a very tough year, very, very tough year. That means everybody in MLB, everyone put it together, suffer what they have to suffer, go through it, and I think to me, it might be the best year in MLB baseball.
No, I think it's great.
MLB.
I think it's the most exciting thing.
Runs. Okay, the Marlins give up 33 runs on a day like on today, and then tomorrow, this team came back and walked off another team. Had this been 160 games,
no one watched.
Not only no one watched, I think that they lose 4 or 5 games in a row. Yeah. I think teams are like, they don't care what happened the night before. And
whatever you say, like, it's exciting. Like, there's like 17 games left. These are all do or die. Like, you lose 3 in a row, you're like, oh my god! Like you can't lose 2 or 3 in a row. Like it's like playing. It's like every September.
We talk about that back in the
exactly. But now it's right in front of us.
We don't have to get into names. Guys are going in the DL to save them,
right?
Because they don't think that's a weaker opponent.
Of course.
You're putting guys in the DL. Yeah. Like you're using strategy.
Hey, Dallas Keuchel.
We're in Dallas Keuchel. I work for the White Sox. That's
we don't want to throw against.
You don't work for the White Sox. You work for
NBC. By the way, the more smart move, whoever come up with the idea, because why? You're going to miss those games anyway. Whoever come up with those days,
you bring another. You'll be ready against Minnesota.
You bring another one.
And welcome back, Reynaldo Lopez.
Reynaldo back?
Yes. You know what?
Can you please stay? Come
on. Hey, we can talk about it in the next topic. I'm not giving up on Reynaldo Lopez.
Me either.
Because
he's not trade that guy.
That guy's 20-something years old.
Not trade that guy.
Again, have patience. Got a good arm. Thank you. Happy Roberto Clemente Day again. Always remember. You know how you can remember Roberto Clemente every day? By being nice, being a great human being, and giving back. Give back to your community. That's what Roberto would have wanted. Thank you so much from the Guillén family and the Guillén Show. La Vida Baseball. Check out the podcast. See you guys next week.